Yeah, well, no, I've come to the university today to talk about filmmaking, to talk about the films that I've made with my brother Chris, and also to talk about my blog, which is on Shooting People. It is a widely read film blog at shootingpeople.org/Ben's blog.
My God, I must explain this to the others. I must inject them with the revolutionary zeal necessary to bring about the overthrow of the oppressive establishment, and thus bring about the birth of a utopian future.
I rambled horribly about the various triumphs and disasters that me and Chris have had over the past 4 or 5 years. I showed our films Free Speech and Death of the Revolution, which I think hopefully kind of show the sort of impact that you can have in a very short space of time, because they're both 5 minutes, and they're very different films, but both kind of quite beautiful, quite funny, quite delightful, I think, and have been told. And then I talked a lot, and hopefully conveyed some sense of the nearly impossible difficulty that faces anyone when they try and make a film, and hopefully kind of gave them some heads up as to kind of some of the mistakes that I've made that maybe they can avoid, or just enjoy making themselves. I don't know.
Come on! You know how important this is. It's not my fault you're an endangered species.
Oh yeah, that's right. Relax me. Take the pressure off.
It can be very off-putting to a creative person to imagine that their beautiful, fantastical vision in their head is something that someone could break down into a syllabus that anyone who turned up that day could come away with. But I think that's really to confuse the different parts of the writing process. And I think that, you know, there is an inherent uniqueness that everybody has, and that's what makes your writing yours, and that's what makes me want to read someone else's work or see someone else's work. But there is also a fundamental structure to the way that human society responds to a story, and that can be taught. You know, it's kind of you can get over prescriptive about it, but fundamentally there are ways in which we respond to a story. There are ways in which a sentence or a scene or an image sets up an expectation, and even if you are subverting that expectation, as a writer you need to know that that's there. You need to know what you're playing with, and so yeah, somewhere along the line you need to learn that. And you know, if you're lucky enough to learn it in a place like here, where Bill is going to be not only giving you all the sort of support that he can give you, but bring in, you know, all the other kind of people that he's met along the way, kind of industry people, and make that happen. And you know, I mean, on Thursday apparently he's taking them all to see people at Coronation Street, and you know, a chance to meet Phil Collinson. That's quite a good bonus, you know. So yeah.
I can't help you. I'm just a panda, doing what pandas do.
I think there are so many people making films these days, and it becomes so easy to make. I mean, look, you know, you're filming me on this little camera that's, you know, smaller than some people's phones, and it's possible to make a film on almost anything these days, and it's possible for almost anyone to go and make a film. And as a result, I think there are a lot of people who rush into filmmaking, which is great, but it's then very easy to get lost. And there are now so many voices, and the internet is such a great way of distributing a film, but unfortunately everyone else gets to use this tool as well, so it's very hard to make your work stand out. And you know, I know me and Chris have suffered from that in the past, and I know that I've also watched a lot of very, very bad films, and that makes me cross. And so yeah, I probably do somewhere along the line have a private mission to try and convince people to make better films.
Who's with me?
And, I was very impressed with the work actually, and used that as a lecturer. I often use Ben's work, so I kind of knew of Ben and I knew him, and I thought he was someone the students should meet, because he's really kind of cut his own path in the film industry. He's made himself one of the top bloggers. He's made some cracking short films, and I'm sure he's got a very bright future. I think it's only going to be It won't be long before we're watching a feature film by Ben Blaine. So he was the kind of person I wanted to have up here. I wanted students to hear from him how he does what he does and his attitude to his work.
Roll camera!
Mark it.
I think it's, as with anything, although I myself am a writer and a director, they see me principally as a teacher, like a lecturer, and I think that it's good to bring someone they've never seen before, someone who really does it, in my view, who really has a vision, who writes his own material, directs it, blogs, and meet the guy. I mean, if I was a student, that's what I want, rather than me say, here's an email from him, or here's the film, what do you think, how do you think he made this? Ben's in the room, so when we play the films, he'll tell you exactly. I mean, there's a few kind of racy moments in some of his films, and people want to know how they were shot, or there are some rather interesting angles or whatever, and so the guy's right there. So that's what you want.
No poses there. Afterwards, everyone seemed very excited and seemed, like I'd sort of, like they had thoughts in their heads. So that's always good to put thoughts in people's heads.
And cut.
It's been a really nice day. I mean, as usual, as you can probably tell, unless you edit this very cleverly, I ramble, so I think I overran by about an hour, but no one left, so that's good, so that, and the feedback that I had from people at the end of it, it's nice. I remember I saw another filmmaker at a similar thing like this, that we were both talking at, and he made the comment that you don't get that much of a chance to give anything back to people as a filmmaker. It's quite a selfish profession. It's mainly about getting what you want. And so, he, like me, kind of seized any chance that he could to kind of share a little bit and give something back to people who want to kind of, I was about to say follow in your footsteps. I don't think anyone particularly wants to follow in my footsteps. You know what I mean.
Taxi!